Hey, Com 252 class, this is Joe. Hope your Thanksgiving was great. Anyway, so what we did part one in class the other day for our last class of chapter 9. I want to do part two, and then there's going to be a couple other videos that finish up the rest of the book before you get your take home final. But I want to talk about dialectical tensions. And dialectical tensions are those things that conflicts arise when two different people think that they have not only opposing views but desires that exist that are separated from each other, right? That are they're opposing or incompatible. So when you meet somebody, we went through meeting a relationship and then termination. We went all the way through that. But when you're meeting someone, you want to integrate with them, but you want to be separate from them. That's integration versus separation. So what that means is you want to be in a relationship with somebody, but you also want to be your own person. How do you do that? It's a conflict of can this is big for me because I'm that person. I'm very independent. I like to be on alone a lot. I like to be by myself quite a bit. I like to not have someone asking me where I'm going, what I'm doing, and I like to just kind of go. But that's tough, right? You got a kid, or you may have kids, you may have a husband, a wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, something like that. And people want to be a part of your life, but you also want to be your own self. It amazes me how well we get along as we do. The next is predictability versus novelty, or stability versus change. So, back to relationships. You all want stability, right? You don't want somebody going off and doing something crazy, but you want change as well. So, you don't want to get stale. You want to grow together. You want something stable, but you want things to kind of spice it up from time to time. It's the polar opposite of what most people think, right? Or what you so you want stability, but you want change. I still cannot figure out or fathom how well we people talk about the divorce rate being so high. I don't know that it why isn't even higher, because it's tough. It takes work. Where do you find a happy medium with your partner about? Oh, I'd like some stability, but I also want some change. It's and where how do you do that change? How do you become or how do you spice it up, for a better word? How do you, oh, we're going to go out for a weekend, but we're not going to leave for a month to go to Calcutta? Where's the happy medium in between it? And it all takes communication. Expression versus privacy. So openness and close it and being closed, open, closed dialect. Now, this is also a problem. So you want to tell somebody some of your most inner feelings. You want to be able to express yourself, but you also want to keep those secrets. So we've talked about this in class, right? And that some of you all have secrets that you wouldn't tell anyone, that you've never told anyone. And then when I said that about it, some of you have some stuff that you regret, or you're like, I'm evil. And then I see some smiles across the room, and you're like, you've never told anyone about it. Oh my God, I did that. You want privacy, but you also want to be able to express yourself and have someone know you and know who you are and know how you are. Once again, these sometimes look like they're in conflict, and they often are in conflict because we don't communicate about, I want to tell you X, Y, and Z, but there's certain things I just want to keep to myself. So there's a lot of strategies for managing these dialectical tensions. I mean, you communicators might alternate, choosing one end of the dialectical spectrum, compartmentalize, trying to put things in perspective of what's different. So, how do we communicate about relationships? How do we talk to each other? How do you, how do you do what we call relational maintenance? Now, some of you are young, some of you are not so young. But I don't think that experience necessarily makes you a better communicator, specifically in relationships. I've screwed up a lot of relationships myself, and I've got a master's degree in broadcasting, a lot of communication classes that necessarily make me the world's best. So, positivity, keeping the relation climate positive and upbeat, Openness, talking directly about the nature of your relationship. Openness is one of the toughest things, though, because sometimes you're going to feel ways that you don't want to say because you don't want to hurt someone's feelings. You don't necessarily have to hurt someone's feelings. Like, get away, get out of my face. I never want to see you again. It's probably not the way to say it. But saying, I need to take some time for myself is probably more appropriate and people will be more understanding. It's how you frame things. Assurances, letting other people know verbally and non verbally that he or she matters, that they're important to you, that they are your partner, your friend, whatever. Social networks, being invested in each other's friends and family. Ugh, I told you, friends and family. I, I, my dream would be married, would be to meet a rich orphan. I never want to be have to meet anyone else's family ever again. But for you all, it's important. And here's a little bit of advice that's not in the book. If you're going to be in a relationship with someone, you're also in a relationship with their family. If you're going to marry someone, you're marrying their family. Let that sink in before you commit. And sharing tasks, helping one another through life, and being as, how should I put this? Being supportive, because there's a lot of crap and we each want to have to do it, and sometimes you have to support the other one. Sometimes the load gets heavy and you have to be the person who helps the other one out, and communicating, letting someone else know, I need help here, I need help. Social support, emotional support, information support, instrumental support. Sometimes support is best given by rolling up your sleeves and doing a task. Or informational support, people in our lives can be helpful information sources and give us recommendations. They can tell us ways to better support ourselves and help. So there's types of relational transgressions. There's minors versus significant. Some of the items include, let me go over these: lack of commitment, distance, disrespect, problem, aggression, verbally, hostility. We all make mistakes in relationships, and some of those are forgivable and some of those are unforgivable. Now, I'm curious because I hear this a lot in life. Well, I don't know why so and so puts up with it. I never would. Back to being empathetic. Remember empathy? Well, have you ever tried to put yourself in those shoes? Would you or would you not put up with it? My guess is most people will do things that they say they would never do, or put up with things that they say they never would, whether they know it or not. You don't know till you've experienced it. So there's minor and there's significant, right? There's deliberate. Has someone transgressed on purpose or was it unintentional? Was it one time or has it gotten incremental? Has it gotten more and more and more and more and more? Did someone screw up and say something mean? Did someone cheat one time or did it get more and more? Strategies for repair, forgiving transgressions, admitting someone's wrong, admitting that you're wrong sometimes. Did some kind of behavior that you do, maybe not showing enough support or respect or communication, lead to that or help lead to that? Nothing is 100% one person's fault. Well, most things aren't 100% one person's fault. I'm going to give you a few ideas, or at least a few suggestions of what you should think about in your future relationships. One, normally, very few things are 100% one person's fault. You are involved. It's two. Remember when we talked about dyads? There's two of you. Second, um, I see this a lot. I see this, well, they just missed out on the best thing that ever happened to them. That's a huge ego, thinking you're the best thing that ever happened to somebody. I doubt that you are the best thing that ever happened to somebody. So sorry to say that to some of you. But sometimes things don't work out because you're not the right people. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you're not the right people forever, but at that time, during your development, your emotional and physical development, you may not be the right person for them at that time and it didn't work out. That doesn't mean that they're necessarily evil or that you're necessarily evil. Things didn't work out. And you probably should realize that it's not all their fault and that some of it is your fault as well. Okay. And sometimes things just don't work out. Sometimes you're not at the right level. That doesn't mean that they've missed out on the best thing in life or you missed out on the best thing in life. It just means this didn't work out with this person. There are no best things. You are not the best person for someone out there. Relationships, and I don't particularly believe in soulmates. I know some people do. there are some people out there that I'm sure are perfect for one another. How you meet them, when you meet them, how you work on it. Relationships take work. Even for those people who meet someone who are perfect, they take work. They'll always take work, and they'll always take communication. And it is an investment, just like money, just like education. You have to put in time. And to do that is a lot of work. But you're looking for a long term goal, and an investment with one person or a relationship, whether that be a friendship or something romantic, over time can be a beautiful thing. I'll be posting more videos later. Don't forget about your upcoming assignment, and stay safe and wear a mask.